For more on this, let's bring in Anjali Bhardwaj. She is a social activist in New Delhi. Great to have you on the program. This cyclone comes at the worst possible time, if there ever is a good time for a cyclone, obviously not. But when people are being told to stay at home, millions of people are now being evacuated. How do you safely evacuate people during the time of coronavirus when people are supposed to be socially distancing?
Yes, this is indeed a very, very unfortunate time. Like you said, it's never a good time for a cyclone, but this is particularly bad because in terms of providing relief, in terms of evacuation, it's just going to make the challenge so much greater. And what one hopes is that there is proper planning and the authorities are able to evacuate people and also evacuate them in a manner that social distancing, physical distancing norms can be maintained. The coronavirus, as we know, is a highly contagious virus, and it is therefore critical that people are transported and evacuated in a manner that keeps them safe from the virus as well. But yes, it's a huge challenge, and this is like a double tragedy where the country has already been reeling under a humanitarian crisis which has been caused by the lockdown imposed to fight the pandemic. And we are seeing millions of people being pushed into destitution because of the economic losses and the employment losses that they have faced due to the lockdown. To have this now hit the country is indeed very unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, continuing with how do people socially distance when they're being taken away? I mean, there is a real urgency to evacuate people. I mean, evacuating millions of people to begin with is a real logistical challenge. But taking these people away from their homes to emergency shelters, and even at the shelters, how do people protect themselves? Because I imagine they'll be in close quarters. It's just not possible to shelter, millions of people in separate rooms, separate homes.
Yes, that is indeed a challenge, and I think something that the Indian government will have to face up to, and also try and better themselves. Unfortunately, the experience with housing people in shelter homes, migrant workers, when they have been trying to leave the cities in the last 2 months, has not been very satisfactory. We've seen that the shelter homes very often are not providing a conducive environment for people, and there is problem of overcrowding. Now, in a situation where so many people will have to be evacuated, it is of course possible, with the various forces that are being called out to help in the operations. It is possible, but a very immaculate planning will be required.
Yeah, it's a real challenge for sure. What about people who may be afraid to leave their homes because of the pandemic? They've been told to stay in their homes, and now they're being told, well, we have to evacuate you. Do you have any concern about that?
Well, I think people are very aware of the various problems that are occurring. Even otherwise, when the pandemic, the lockdown has happened, a lot of people have chosen not to stay at home, but to go back to their villages because they realize that, they need to move to avoid destitution, homelessness, and hunger. And even when people have been trying to tell them not to move, they have. So I think in this situation, they do recognize that, they need to move, they need to be evacuated, and I'm sure they will cooperate. That will not be a problem. It'll just have to be done in a planned manner.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Anjali Bhardwaj joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much.